Please welcome to the stage the cast of Cowboy Bebop.
Wherever you want. Proud sponsor of Topo Chico.
Go boys against the girls.
Hey, all you space cowboys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Mother's Day.
So, how hot you are, Chad. So, we want to dedicate this before we start to Chad.
To Chad, he couldn't make it.
So he couldn't make it.
From Las Vegas, but we changed it, so it was super sad. So I was like, you know what? We'll say hi to you on the camera and we'll record it.
Okay.
Aww.
Hi, Chad.
Hi,
Hi,
Chad.
Chad.
Miss you, Chad.
You said he's in Vegas?
He went back. He was talking to you, Blue, with the backpack.
Oh, right, yeah.
He went back to Vegas.
Okay.
So we should feel bad for him because he's gambling now?
Yeah. I think he's having more fun than us.
Would he be a dangling Chad at this point?
Damn.
Oh,
Remember that?
Remember
Yeah.
Remember the old days? Remember? We were
That
so
was fun.
innocent then. The good old days. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. So nice to have you here. So let's do this. Let's go one by one and introduce yourselves, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, I'll go first. Hi guys, I'm Melissa Fawn, and I play Edward, and I'm so happy to be here in your beautiful, beautiful state and your beautiful town, and we're having such a great time, and I'm loving meeting you, and a shout out to my son who's with me this weekend. Mother's Day. Jude, you're amazing. You're why I'm here. Okay.
Aww. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you,
Melissa.
Boo. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, and I play Julia and Twinkle Maria Murdoch, and I was also the voice director. There's something to be said for doing something when you have no idea what you're doing. I think the secret to adulthood is that we're all winging it, because we winged it on this show, and I hope we made you proud. So.
Yeah. It's a happy accident, right?
Yes.
I'm Bo Billingsley. I voiced Jet Black.
Woo!
And thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And happy Mother's Day to any mothers out there. And
Mothers, not mothers.
Mother.
He called me mother on the way
Mother.
over.
Yeah.
I am your mother.
No bell peppers and beef for you, you mother. Okay. Back on script.
You keep promising beef. That's,
Well, they stole all the oolongs, so we have no beef to even thank for. Boy. Anyway, it's great to be here, y'all.
I'm Steve Bloom. I play Spike.
Woo!
And I love this place. We haven't been to Renton before, but we've been all over Washington State, and we love this part of the country. We live in Hawaii now, and this is sort of a sister state, sister city. Lucky, right? We are very lucky. We say that
We are every day.
We found that this has become like a sister city to where we live. So it's kind of nice. We live out in the country, so it kind of feels like a little extension of home.
Yeah.
And you guys have really made us feel at home. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And a shout out to my mom. My mom is 88 years old, and she's doing well. But I talked to her this morning, and she loves that we're doing this thing. I don't think she really realized what we were doing until very recently. She's in a retirement home now, and I sent her a bunch of pictures because her server at their little breakfast area was a fan, and so he started telling everybody else, and it's gotten around the building now. So I sent her this little package of stuff, and she goes, "You and Mary are kind of popular." So she's very proud of us, and all of us also. Because Bebop was the first thing that she heard about that I was doing professionally. She didn't pay any attention to anything else in my career, but we talked about it a lot. And now the director of Cowboy Bebop is my wife.
My wife. My husband.
So she hears about Bebop a lot. She probably ad nauseum. So anyway, thank you guys for loving it as much as we do.
All right, so like all of you have been working in the industry for quite a while, and some on-screen, some voice acting and all that kind of stuff. So can you recall your very first acting or voice acting role? We'll just go down the line.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was one of those kids who was dancing and singing when I was very little, and I come from a family of performers, actors, musicians, singers, so it was kind of in my blood. But the very first voiceover job, and I've done some on screen, and I've worked on Broadway. I was in the original Broadway production of Wicked.
Yes!
And then I had a long journey with it and did it in Los Angeles, and it was a huge part of my career. But the very first voiceover job, if we're going to talk voiceover, was it was an incredible story, but I got cast as the voice of Betty Boop. And that was my very first voiceover job, and it was really being thrown to the wolves, and I had a lot of pressure, and I was really young, but it really kick-started my voiceover career. And before that, I had been doing a lot of going in for a lot of TV and film, and I'll never forget my agent saying, you know, you're giving great reads and you're doing great, but your voice, people are not buying your voice. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is my voice. And I worked with Dr. Lillian Glass, this very famous vocal therapist who taught Marley Matlin how to speak, and she was teaching me how to deepen my voice and how to do all that. And then I just started doing voiceover, and I said, you know, this is the way I gotta go, and it's never failed me. So, and it's never failed me in other ways too. So singing and everything else. So that was my very first voiceover job, if that answers.
Okay.
And to elaborate on that, when Melissa was doing Wicked in LA, I saw her in New York, and the whole family went, and you took us backstage, and it was so amazing.
I remember that.
And then the tour came to LA, and we got the call that Melissa was going on as Glinda, and she came floating out in the bubble, and 2 rows of people just instantly burst into tears. And just like, she's so beautiful. Let there be blood. We're all like, ah. It was
I remember
amazing.
you coming. That meant a lot to me.
Oh, Melissa.
You're beautiful.
Amazing. And sorry, Joanna, Sweeney Todd. I have been
did see me
following your
that-
career forever. And we've known each other forever, which is
Forever.
what's so great about this whole group of people up on stage is that we've all been such good friends for so long, and it really started with Bebop. I mean, that's what first brought us together. And we're still a family. It's wonderful. And we're shout out to Wendy, who's not here, our Feifei. We miss her very much.
Yeah.
I moved to LA to be on Star Trek Voyager. Like, that was my dream. I was a next gen girl, and then when Voyager came out, I was just like, I need to be on Star Trek. That's why I moved to LA. And then I got hurt on Xena. A horse named Cher reared up and rolled on top of me. So when I came back, I started doing voiceover. And I replaced a young woman on a show called Mysterious Play, moved out. No, is that right? No, that was Fushigi Yugi. It was a character called, she was the queen of the Bugram Empire. And she sounded like Kate Mulgrew. So I was playing Mr. Jedi, blah, 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 Kate Mulgrew. So then I got cast on Voyager, and I was like, oh my God, I got to do that. So I did the whole episode of Voyager, and at the end of the episode, I get arrested in Med Lab. And I walked into Med Lab, and there's Kate Mulgrew, and it's the first time I saw her, and she was like, so how was your time on Voyager? And I was this close to going,
You did it,
it was wonderful. I really enjoyed my time here. But that was it. I was just like, I'm madly in love. And I've since gotten a chance to direct her, and she is so exquisitely wonderful and beautiful. And that's what I love about the voiceover industry, is that I've gotten to direct all of my icons. And, like Sigourney Weaver, who's just the greatest behind them, like Diana Rigg, so it's all of these incredible, incredible, incredible people. And I'm just so grateful that this particular choice of career, which I never anticipated, you know. I just wanted to be an on-camera actor, and I was kind of banging my head against the wall. And it wasn't until I started doing voiceover that I didn't expect would come my way, that I was like being shot out of a cannon. And I was like, oh, the path that I was on led me to this, which isn't what I expected, and now I've never stopped working, you know. And then I started directing. Bebop was my first directing job, and I think it was a lot of our first lead roles or directing. So Bebop was a first for most of us, and I think probably for me had the most influence on my life and career, because now Spike and I are together, you know. So it's, yeah, voiceovers. Yeah. It's Saturday. Keep it clean, would you?
Sunday. It's Sunday. I don't know what day it is. Anyway, this is Bo.
It's Mom's Day. It's Mom's Day.
It's Mom's Day.
Well, my first voiceover role was, wait for it, 1969. I
Never heard of it.
I barely remember it, so.
Nobody remembers 1969.
No, it was a long time ago. But I was in law school, and I decided I wanted to do some acting. You know, how hard can it be? It's acting, right? So I went to New York, and I was doing some on-camera stuff, some industrial films, and I got my Screen Actors Guild card. And I was asked, I auditioned to be the voice of a coach in a puppet movie. And which is, you know, once again, acting, how hard can it be? So, you know, I did it. And then, you know, I went into the military, blah, blah, blah. And cut to me, I went to LA after I got out of the military, and I was doing on-camera stuff. And a dear friend of all of us, Doug Stone, called me in to do some dubbing of live foreign action films. Like there'd be a German film and there'd be an African character, so I'd come in and do a general African accent. You know, I did it for my father. You know, and I did quite a few of those with Doug. And then one day he asked me, she said, "You want to do some anime?" And I said, "Cool. What's anime?" And he explained it to me. I said, "Oh, okay, all right. That sounds like fun." And that's kind of how I got started. It was Doug Stone, and thank my lucky stars, I was asked to do Voice Jet and Cowboy Bebop, and became part of a wonderful family of wonderful people. And we're still here. We have our texts where we continue to have conversations and share our ups and downs in life. So, and luckily for me, I ended up here. My first time in Washington State, which is pretty unusual because I've been a lot of places. But I'm so happy to be here. The vibe is wonderful. You know, we went to downtown Seattle yesterday with Melissa and I and her son, Jude, and it was like, people were looking at me and smiling, and it was just so, it was so nice. You know, people were so cool. So I'm glad to be here, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I still haven't been asked to do an African accent. I don't know why.
Do it for
Hoping for that someday. I started by accident. I had no intention of becoming an actor. Didn't even know I was one for the first 10 years of my career until Mary told me at a panel. Yeah, but I was a wannabe musician. I wasn't very good. I played in an R&B band in the 80s, opening for heavy metal and hair bands. And getting equipment sabotaged, and yeah, we sucked. But we had a great following, and it was fun, and I was the only guy with a job and a truck, so that's the only reason I was in the band. But I loved it, and I thought that was going to be my thing, and I needed a day job to support my nasty band habit. And so I got this job at this film studio. A buddy of mine asked me if I wanted to lift a bunch of heavy stuff in a warehouse, and so I said yes. And so we ended up in a warehouse for 2 weeks moving props and moving them really badly. By the way, we put like these little spaceships. It was a sci-fi company called Empire Entertainment. They had like spaceships and alien thrones and all kinds of stuff. And we would put them on like the four-wheel dollies and ride them around in the warehouse. They were supposed to be working. Anyway, cut to, I was at that company for 15 years. I ended up becoming an executive at that company, and accidentally also. And during my tenure there, the guy who was the head of the mailroom before I went up the corporate ladder, a guy named Vic Garcia, told me that he was casting this Japanimation thing. And he wanted to know if I wanted to audition, and I was literally the only non-actor in the building. In LA, everybody is a wannabe actor. I didn't care at all, and I said no at least 3 or 4 times, and then finally he said, well, we'll give you free pizza, and I said, okay. Literally a starving musician. So I went in on the weekend, and this is a terrible way to do that, but they brought in like 20, 25 actors, and we were all auditioning on the fly, and if we were booked, we would immediately go into the booth and work. And so I got to watch the best people in the industry, and just sort of absorb what they were doing. I was thinking, oh, that doesn't look that hard, but man, I just hope they don't call me up to the microphone. And so finally they bring me up to the microphone, it's my turn to do it. They show me an image of a creature ripping the arm off of another creature and beating him with it. And they said, can you do a voice for that? And I said, oh yeah, that I do all the time. We do that in the mailroom. So they said, all right, well, what would that sound like? And I looked at the image and I went, and they said, all right, you're hired. and then all the blood drained out of my face. And I said, oh God, now I have to do this. I don't know what I'm doing, and they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. Can I still have my pizza? That's literally my only question. And so they gave me the pizza. I did get my pizza, and I worked that day, and we ended up working for several days on that show. It was called The Guyver. We worked in a treehouse.
You were on MacGyver?
The Guyver, not the MacGyver. With Tommy and, oh my God, the family. That was my very first gig. You were on that.
I was on that
Were
too.
you there that day, the first day of
Yeah,
auditions?
I was there too, but I mean, we were just all in a circle and given a part to do, and they would tap our shoulder.
Yeah,
3,
when you're
2,
supposed to
1. No beeps or anything. That was our
Wow.
That's the way it was done, and I met Steve then a
I didn't
million
realize
years
you were
ago.
there that day.
I don't know if I was there that. I remember going on a Saturday though.
It was that day then?
Yeah,
'Cause that's
I
when we
must
all
have.
auditioned, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Tommy being there.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
remember-
I was
I
not
was
there.
probably too shy to meet you.
Maybe too shy.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I remember working with you, like
Wow.
at the cave or the tree house
called
or
The
the
Cave,
cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that so many years ago.
Oh my God.
That was
anime-
the first anime like coming to LA.
Yeah, it was one of the very first animes out at that time.
Yeah.
Streamline was the only company that was making anime at that time, and they were just chopping up stuff and putting things together.
Yep.
And this was one of the very first things I remember
Guyver.
Streamline going out there. They didn't know how to record this at all. This engineer was a rock and roller guy.
Yeah.
The studio literally was in a treehouse. It was called The Cave. Most of it was in the treehouse, and the back end of it was butting up to a hillside.
Yes.
And it was rock. It was a rock wall. But while we were recording, this lunatic was hanging by his knees upside down with a chainsaw cutting. Do you remember that when he was cutting the limbs?
No, I don't remember
It might
that.
have been. It might not have been the first day. It might have been one of the days into the recording. But he thought it'd be a good idea while we're recording to trim his tree. And so he's hanging by his knees, upside down, long hair, wild, swinging in the breeze, and he's chopping down these limbs. And nothing we recorded was usable. They ended up having to re-record the entire show.
I remember re-recording. Yes, I remember that.
In Les's garage.
In Les's garage. Yes.
So we started with very, very humble beginnings, and I didn't think it was going to turn into a career. It was just became my little habit that I was doing on nights and weekends for pizza. $7 a line.
Yeah.
This is what they paid us back then. But
Unbelievable.
30-something years later, here we are. Who knew? Yeah, so
Crazy.
happy accident.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, 2 things about her. She also has an album out. I didn't know. I've known you for 25 plus years. I didn't know
Yeah.
you had an album out. So she gave me one. She wouldn't let me buy it.
No, of course. You're my,
I
you're
have
my
it.
I gave it to my family. You saw me naked? Is that what you said?
No, I didn't see you. I didn't see you on Wicked.
Oh, you saw me wicked, yeah. I thought you said you saw me naked.
We were a very close-knit group back then. And that's how you work in anime. Everybody works naked in anime, didn't it tell you that?
Yeah,
That's how you
yeah.
record. The only reason that I stayed in the business is I can record with no pants now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're naming our house.
No hats.
No
No
pants.
The house of
No pants.
A
The
house of no
pants.
pants.
I like that.
Yeah. But you were actually the first Broadway star I ever met. I
Aww.
met you after I saw you after your show. I already knew you, but Yeah, I know her.
Oh my God, Steve.
Oh,
I just let you know what? I love Steve because he said he wore gold lame in his rock and roll days.
he did.
He wore gold lame.
And red mesh shirts.
Yes.
I
And he had
wore-
big hair.
I wore a gold lame Speedo and red mesh pants and a shiny red lame tank top. And I
Nice.
shaved half of my head and I had the other half in like a half mullet.
Yes.
It was disgusting.
You gave that outfit to
So
Sam
can we find
Riegel.
these pictures online? Can we find these pictures online?
Oh, no, I don't think they exist anymore. My ex-partner still has video, he's got all that stuff, but he's probably holding it hostage. He's waiting until I make just enough money. And
Right.
To get you. Yeah.
Blackmail.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like 20 plus years after Bebop. So how did this role come about for each of you?
Well, the amazing thing about this job is that none of us had to audition for our roles on Bebop, and I was thinking about Kevin Seymour today, and I literally said, "Thank you, Kevin, who's in the stars and in the heavens now. Thank you for this job, and thank you for bringing us all together so many years later. It's kind of amazing. This kind of thing does not happen.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And I got a call from Kevin Seymour, who was our producer, and Mary was our director. But Kevin called and said, I have a project for you. You don't have to audition. I think this part is perfect for you. And that's it. And then I came into the studio, and Mary took me into it was this great studio, what was it called again? Kappa Studios, yeah. And we went into a screening room with a huge screen, and she said, before we start, I just want you to I want you to watch the opening title. And I I sat there with my jaw just open, going, oh my God, this is a cool show. I'm so glad I'm here. I mean, really, it does not happen that way, usually. I mean, special jobs like that do not come along. And the fact that here we are 20 plus years later, and it's the gift that keeps on giving in so many ways, as far as our relationships and as far as meeting fans, old and new, and then their children. It's really an incredible thing. So that's how I got it. I'm sure everyone will have a similar story or different spin, but it was a miracle the way it happened, and it just keeps on revealing itself, how wonderful and how blessed and how just special this show was to us then, and in the booth and creating our characters, and the freedom that we had the freedom of time. Mm-hmm. I remember on the show, we usually are very time constrained we're under a lot of time constrictions on shows when you're called in. They have a budget, it's all by time, you have to get it done in a certain amount of time. This one, we got to just play, we had endless time, endless budget, and it was one of those magical things for me.
Yeah.
I'll pass it on.
Definitely. Well, we're all going to praise Kevin Seymour today. Kevin Seymour worked at Animes, and then there was Zero, and in conjunction with Zero Limit Productions by Yutaka Maseba and Haruyo. And this company put out Akira and Hellsing and Ghost in the Shell, the first movie, and that's sort of when I came and started working for them. And they knew that I had spent time and got a master's degree in acting and everything else. And I'd done a little bit of, I directed Lone Star in college. And they're like, you can direct, right? But Kevin and Yutaka had this wonderful, wonderful habit of hiring female directors. And it was Wendy Lee,
Wendy Lee, right?
It was Wendy Lee, Bridget Hoffman, and Leah Sargent. And they were known as Kevin's Angels. And I was sort of the fourth one to come in, the plucky side, the little sister of somebody. And I remember getting a call. You know how in life you get stuck sometimes. And I was stuck. I was banging my head, as I said earlier, against the wall of trying, and I just had the worst audition where this celebrity, you know, you have to go in and they tell you, all right, you're a park ranger, so no makeup, put your hair back, and wear nothing but khaki. I mean, as bland as you possibly can. And I'm like, really? They said, yep, you're gonna come in and meet our producer, who's also the star. I was like, okay. So I did, and I walked in and there's all these just supermodels and soap stars, you know, bare bras, just everything, falling, showing, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And I walked in and this guy was reading the newspaper and he looked up at me and went, so I went home that day and I said, I know I'm here, so I'm supposed to be here, but I really don't think I'm supposed to be doing this. So any sign, anything, I am open to suggestion. I put myself out to you, universe, and I just need a little nudge. And within a week, Kevin called me and said, we've got too many shows and not enough directors. Do you want to give it a try? And I'm like, and the little monkey on my shoulder's going, you're going to fail. So instantly I had to say yes. You know, I mean, when you get something that loud in your head, like that's a yes. You got to be like, absolutely, I need to fail. I need to do this, to try it, and maybe this is the sign. And it was, because it was Cowboy Bebop, and we went over to Kevin's place and watched the opening credits. And I turned to Kevin and I said, why are you giving me this show? This looks amazing. And he goes, because I'm too busy. I can't do it. If I wasn't this busy, it would have been mine. And I'm like, Kevin. And that was it. And there was no Toonami. There was no internet really at the time. It was just, you know, U.AL was like the only thing from, you know, AOL at the time. So we knew that nobody was going to see this show. And I would wait every month because to get these 3 episodes that we were doing. We would do 3 episodes a month, which is a huge luxury, you know, of time and money, as Melissa said. And when we went in the booth, we were just like, this is the coolest show ever. I remember when Spike walked into the church and I don't hear a thing. That song Steve Conte started singing. I was like, what is this show? Nobody's ever going to see it. So, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. This is, you know, these guys are new or somewhat, you know, to these roles. And let's just make it for us. Because if nobody sees it, at least we can make something that's unusual for anime because it was such a westernized show. I mean, it was sort of it was Watanabe-san's love letter to American film, to film genres, you know. 2001, Aliens, blaxploitation films, so that he covered every genre of film in this series. And it was so beautiful, so we're just like, let's just make it for us. Let's tone it down. Let's not go big. Let's go for small and nuanced and when we need to, and then big and crazy when we wanted to. And to let Melissa Fon, like, play was just like, go, you know, and I just sat back and cried with laughter.
We had so much fun.
We had so much fun with all of this, and, you know, directing Bo, and it's just him and the bonsai, you know, and talking to himself, and the stuff, and the movie with Steve, you know, when Spike's in the jail in the movie talking to Elektra, and he had to be so vulnerable, and for all of us to go to places that we never thought we could. And risk failure, which is like the best lesson. Risk failure. Get out there and fail, because you'll learn so much, and you might just get lucky enough to have lightning in a bottle. And one other thing, I'll try and make it really quick. This show was released in Japan. 6 episodes were released, edited, and out of order. The show never took off. So, ever. So they shipped it off to America, and they said, just do it, you know. So we did. And it got released. And people started to see it, and it started gaining traction. So much so that they took it back to Japan and released it in Japan. Now, and it exploded.
In English?
I don't know.
Or in
I
Japanese?
think it was Japanese subtitles.
It was Japanese subtitles initially, and then, yeah, but that's how it was released because we met the creators at a con, and they were thanking us for what we did, because that's how it started to gain traction in Japan, was from doing it in English. And I can't remember a show that ever happening with a show, and it was just like we were all crying and thank you, no thank you. So it was just this unbelievable lightning in a bottle that sort of launched all of us on both sides of the Pacific. It was really an amazing thing. So anyway, I just love these people so much, and the show and all of it, and thank you all for having us, because this is just, it's such a wonderful event, especially after, the before times, and now the world's shut down and now we're all out again. And isn't it wonderful to be with people again? And this is why I believe AI will never succeed, because it's the Brundlefly effect, I call it. It's you need the flesh, you need people interacting with people, and it's the spark and randomness of humanity that makes it all so wonderful to be around each other. I'm going to shut up now. Bye.
I'm enjoying you
I am
so
too.
much.
You need a podcast, Mary.
Yeah, you do.
No, my retirement is going to be, welcome to Delilah in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Steve's out there feeling sad tonight, and Mary knows it, so this one's for you,
Yes.
Steve. Oh, my
Yeah.
I just want to be that midnight shift on a radio somewhere.
Yes.
I listen, baby.
I
Well, my story is pretty much the same. Kevin asked me to do it, and I owe so much to Kevin. Kevin was a very unique character. He's a very unique man, and we lost him much too soon.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I was asked to voice Jet, and I had no clue. So when I went in the first session, I was thinking, it was Cowboy Bebop, so I was thinking Cowboys, yeah. So that's how I'd be talking like, and doom, spitting in the spittoon.
Bell peppers and beef.
Bell peppers and beef. So, we should have gone that way.
Should have done it. It's back.
It's for a snack, it's bell peppers and beef.
Bang.
So Mary said, no, we're really not going that way, Bob. And she said, let's do something really unique. Let's use your voice and tweak it. And I was thinking, my voice is boring. I want, you want to do something different from yourself, when you want to, so I said, one thing I don't want to do is play ball. And so, but anyway, Mary helped me to come up with that, and the rest is history. I had no clue. I didn't know too much about what I was doing. I think I had done one thing before that. I think it was my Legend of Black Heaven. I think maybe where I voiced Oji, who was the lead character, and he was an office worker in Japan, and at night he was saving the universe with his music.
Like you do.
Like I do. So, but yeah, it was magical. But we had no clue. I mean, I didn't have any clue how majestic this would be, and how profoundly it would affect my life, and it really has changed my life in terms of meeting these wonderful people and becoming a family, and including Wendy, who we miss. So having the opportunity to meet you guys and to hear your stories, how you didn't leave the room during Adult Swim, and we heard that a lot, right? But yeah, it's and I had I never would have imagined that I would be doing anime and be doing a stone character. And I was like, this is nice. Let me talk to my bonsai trees. I love you, bonsai. You just so cute, And then they wrote that beautiful line, who am I anyway?
No.
That's it. Okay, so at the end of Mushroom Samba, Bo's last line was a compilation of what we have for dinner, which is, mushrooms this, all these different kinds of mushrooms, and the last one was shiitake on ice. And I said, Bo, as an alt, could you put a little pause in the middle of that word? And it turned into...
Shiitake mushrooms on ice.
We got away with it! They let us get away with it!
We don't have too much leeway because we have to match the flaps and everything. So whenever we have an opportunity to do something like that, we jump on it, and hope. And of course, we do a traditional take in case it doesn't work, so they'll have what they need. But yeah, and I'll have to say that there was one session. Well, that was back when we were using paper. You guys remember paper?
Yeah.
The scripts were in paper, right? And so I remember Steve left me a little note. He had worked before I did on those episodes, and he said, "Hey, Bo, Jet sucks." I said, "That song? Blank." So anyway, I went forward in the script, and I found one of his loops, and I wrote in, "Hey, Spike, hey, Steve, Spike sucks. And Bebop is my shit." So I figured I got the last laugh. But I do want to say that I had worked my session I finished, and Steve was coming in, and I decided to watch. And Spike had all of this, the martial arts, and it's difficult to do because you have to try to do the movement, but you have to also stay on mic. And so Steve was doing all of this stuff, but he was still on mic. And I was thinking, that is so cool. Well, he was slightly more macho than that, just slightly. But you've seen those bobbleheads, the bobbleheads? So I was realizing what Steve was doing, he was doing a bobble body. His head was just still on the mic, but he was just doing all this crazy stuff, and I was just thinking, this guy is good. I love watching him. This is entertainment here. Man, I felt like having a smoke or something after, and I don't even smoke. So, but anyway, those are my reflections on being part of this wonderful piece of art.
I think there's a missed opportunity here. I could have made a whole career out of bobble body.
Bobble body.
I didn't even think about it. Yeah.
You still can.
I'm using that now. It's not too late. Speaking of Kevin Seymour, he was just one of the most understated geniuses I've ever met in my life. Very, very quiet. Had this massive collection of music for every possible occasion, which he would play for us for inspiration.
Yeah.
He would do mixed tapes for us individually to inspire us for our characters. It's crazy. And his audition process, I don't remember if I actually auditioned, but I do remember for some of the shows that I worked on with Kevin, that the audition process was basically him calling at like 11:30 at night, and he had a few. And it's like, "Hi Steve, I wanted to hear what this sounds like coming out of your head. Can you just repeat this line?" And he'd feed me a line, and I'd be so sleepy, and Kevin, what? This is an audition? Yeah, I just want to hear it. And then if I did it well, the next day I'd be working. So I realized that this is probably an okay thing to do. And I think that's what he did with me on Bebop too. I don't know if it was an official audition, but it was one of those phone calls. It was one of the late night Kevin phone calls. So one of the very, very few jobs that I didn't really have to go through a formal audition for. And I just can't believe that he trusted me with that. And I spent, I think it was the first 3 to 5 episodes just feeling like I was going to crap my pants because I was so scared. It was my first leading role with a great director. I just met Mary, and I was kind of intimidated at first just because she seemed like she knew what she was doing. And I really didn't.
Fake it till you make it.
But she made me feel comfortable in the booth, and I think that's the sign of any great director. And I felt like we were just playing. She made it so comfortable in that booth for all of us, I think, that it didn't feel like work. It helped me to allay some of the fear and bowel problems, and finally settled into it. And like she was talking about with that vulnerable scene in the movie, that's where I really learned to act. That's where I really learned that it was okay for a guy to be vulnerable. I was taught my whole life to tuck all that stuff in and never show. And she actually helped to open that door for me. And so personally and professionally, that moment changed my life. And now I get to be with her forever. It's kind of amazing.
Well, why do you think I cast myself as Julia? I fell so in love with Steve's voice on Spike. I was like, I don't care if Julia comes in sounding like Betty Boop, which I can't do. I'm gonna play Julia. That's all I'm saying, because I love me some Spike.
I wanted to say a couple of words about Mary's direction. Mary was and it still is an actress, right? And so there are two parts to being a director. You have to know what you're doing and have a vision or concept of what you want, but you also have to have the command of the English language to express it to the actor. Because I've worked with directors, and even in the voice world, I've given a take, and they say no, and they direct me, and then I go back in my mind and give the first take and say that's it. And so if a director doesn't have a concept, a strong image in their mind of what they want, it's very difficult for them to communicate it to an actor. One of the great directors on camera for me was J.J. Abrams when I was doing Star Trek Into Darkness. His mind was so clear with what he wanted, and he had the language ability, the language skills to communicate it to the actor, because there's no bigger nightmare, I think, for an actor not to understand what the director wants. Because you're just shooting in the dark. So I just wanted to say, I just love you, Mary.
I love you too, Mary.
Going right here.
Okay, should we tell?
Yeah.
Steve.
So,
Are you pregnant again? It's not mine this time?
All right. God.
so here's a lighthearted question for the crew of the Bebop. So, as yourself and then as your character, how do you feel about pineapple on pizza?
I'm for it! Pineapple on every pizza I ever eat. Even with bell peppers and beef.
I love pineapple on pizza, especially with Canadian bacon.
Yes.
So I think Edward would say, go pineapple on pizza! Pizza, pizza, pizza. Spooky.
Ed loves pizza.
That's my favorite.
I'm looking for a pizza with pineapple. That's it. I don't know, Julia's me. So I mean, you grill up a pineapple. You can put pineapple on anything. I'm telling you, anything. And we live in Hawaii now, so it's like grill up the pineapple.
Like
Use
you have
it- I was-
pineapple omelets and stuff?
I'm sure you could. I was thinking it might be fun to like grill a pineapple and make a burger out of it and make the pineapple, the bun, with some jalapeno and stuff. Okay, my mouth's watering.
Make that happen for you.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
good.
I know.
I have to be in the mood. That's my official answer. As Spike or Steve. It's pineapple on pizza. Sometimes it sounds absolutely disgusting, and sometimes it's like, shove it in there. I go both ways.
Okay. Be flexible. Good to be
We've
flexible.
heard that about you.
Not my first rodeo.
Thank you for those wonderful answers. Do we have any? We have about 15 minutes left. So, do we have any questions from the audience? Here,
So not only were movies a big part of Cowboy Bebop, but music
Yes.
is also a gigantic part in the celebration of jazz and American music. What are some of your favorite musical moments from the show, if you have any?
So many.
We went to a convention down in New Orleans, and I got to open the con by doing a mini concert, and I actually ended up singing Rain and Blue, and then we did this thing. It was at Guadalajara, and I got to sing "Knock a Little Harder" from the movie, which is just one of the most banging songs out there to just rip your throat apart. And what I loved about Yoko Kanno is she's such a genius, and Watanabe gave her the time with no dialogue for her to tell the story through music, which was just amazing. I mean, they had opera in it. There's so much, but I think for me visually, when Spike's walking into the church and Rain plays, and then at the end when after Bang, when it just goes up to the clouds. And, Blue starts playing, and I'm like, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Anybody have another question?
Recently, we had so many people claiming Mandalorian to be the greatest space western. I wanted to know how offended you guys were because I was offended for you.
You have good taste, man. You have good taste.
Steve? Steve was on The
Well, I
Mandalorian.
was in The Mandalorian, so in that one moment it felt very authentic to me. I liked Mandalorian a lot, actually. I really like Mandalorian a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
But best space western?
Not to mention you'd have the Firefly people going, what?
Yeah.
But we were first.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We were first. Oppa!
Opa, I love that.
Okay, the vodka bottle. Is that the vodka bottle?
Happy Mother's Day.
Party now.
See, what had happened was...
Yeah. I don't feel a thing.
Oh, well.
Can we get another question here? Yeah, could you give us or tell us some of your favorite lines that you've given in the show? I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
That one's hard to top, but I love. Who am I anyway? Being stoned, right?
Yeah. Julie didn't have, well,
It's all a dream.
It's all the dream.
Yeah, I'm notoriously bad at remembering all my lines, as my son can attest. But what's the one?
Yeah.
I already did
Yeah,
spooky,
spooky.
but it's spooky. But what's the one? If you see a stranger, what is it? What is that one? Does anyone know that? If you see, it's obviously not my favorite.
Look it up.
Get the Google machines out.
Okay.
I was just looking at another line. I think it was obnoxious little frog.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
I hate theme parks. We made that and the thing. Man, I hate theme parks at the end of the Pierrot Lafou episode. Because I worked at Universal Studios for many years, singing and dancing in Beetlejuice's Rockin' Graveyard Review.
Yes. I love that.
I'm so in love with you.
Oh,
Picture Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Just picture, I want you to do the hair up with the lines and the signs. We need to go get a room.
Singing Natural Woman. Yeah.
oh my God. That's
I sang Natural Woman in a Bride of Frankenstein outfit 5 times a day, sometimes 10 times a day during summer months.
Oh, my God.
Singing to Beetlejuice, it was
Oh my
amazing.
God.
But that show, D. Bradley Baker, who is the absolute genius that he is, played Beetlejuice to my bride, and he would have a little mini tape recorder, and in between shows we would have like 20-25 minutes, and he would sit there and do voices and sounds and learn how to use every chamber of resonance in his head to create all these different sounds. And I would just ask for requests on stage. Like, we messed around all the time, and I was like, BJ, how would Darth Vader sound? And he would just go to town. It was amazing. It was amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Looks like we found that line for you, Melissa.
It was, if you see a stranger, follow him. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you
okay.
see a stranger, follow him. That's it. Thank you.
Don't try that at home.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
And for Faye, for me, it was the last episode when she said, "Where are you going? Why are you going?" And she just had the gun to Spike's head. That always sticks with me for Faye.
Yes.
I love you. This question's aimed at Steve. Steve, how did you get the role and start to become Tom for Toonami?
That was a really weird. You're not gonna work. Okay, I don't care.
Oh, you
Okay.
know,
Oh, Okay.
Just bang it.
Okay.
Always have a plan B.
Yeah.
That was a really weird thing. That actually came as a result of Cowboy Bebop. The producers of that, of Toonami, were Cowboy Bebop fans, and they actually called my agent and asked if I'd be interested in auditioning for this announcer for their little anime show. And I said that, well, my first response was, I'm not really qualified to do that. I'm not an announcer guy. I don't know why you guys think that I could possibly handle that. And they said, well, come to, I think it was Comic-Con or Anime Expo, one of these big cons. And they said, we'll treat you to dinner and beer. And I went, okay, free food. Yeah, literally, that was one of the things that got me there. And they seemed like really nice guys. So Sean Akins, Jason DeMarco, all these guys from the network. Jason's still there at the network. Just brought me in, and we just had a conversation. There wasn't even really an audition. They just wanted to meet me and have a conversation about it and tell me about the show. And I said, sure, if you guys think I can handle it, okay. I was super insecure about it and terrified doing the first few sessions of it. But they were really cool. We did it all over the phone. I was in LA, they were in Atlanta, and I was at a studio in LA, and they gently guided me down that path. And here we are, so many years later, still doing Toonami every Saturday night, only Toonami. But thanks to you guys, I mean, you guys are the reason that Cowboy Bebop became as popular as it did, because Toonami really did bring that to the masses, to people who would never have considered Japanimation, especially dubbed stuff.
Oh yeah.
So many people tell us that they wouldn't watch anything that wasn't subtitled. And so we were very lucky to have that opportunity to get something that was really good broadcast out where people could actually see it and not have to pay $85 for a tape. So thank you to everybody at Toonami and Adult Swim. It used to be Cartoon Network, but Adult Swim. So thank you to those guys too, if you're watching this, wherever you are.
And I wanted to say that I had an opportunity to do an episode with Steve, and it's one of the most memorable names of a character I've ever had. Booger.
Oh, Booger.
Booger.
Yeah. Called me Booger. How dare you?
We did these Toonami immersion events, is what they call them, if you haven't seen them. But if you're curious, go online and just look up Toonami immersion events. And there's always some catastrophic event where our ship, which was originally the Absolution, just got destroyed, taken over by aliens, eaten, whatever. So he showed up in one of the most recent versions as this alien that I just called Booger. So you'll always be my little Booger.
Oh, thank you.
Another question.
Cutest booger I've ever met.
My question is, as powerful as the show is, like very open-ended, right? In those episodes, was there ever any talks to continue past the movie? Like, I know it's pretty self-contained, but
other than us begging for it.
We actually started doing a video game, and unfortunately, the engine of the game never worked. They couldn't get it to work, but I still have all the outtakes from the video game, and we did some nasty stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Really not suitable for
Remember.
public. But my favorite was Melissa.
Yeah, you want me to do it?
But
Okay.
children, how many kids are in the audience?
Just my son, probably. Oh wait, there's some littles back
Oh,
there.
okay. So don't
You might want to.
close your ears.
It goes something like this. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers! That's for you, Mary.
I
did
know.
that for Mary.
I know. I still have that on my computer, and it just makes me so happy.
And the kids have to learn sometimes, so
It's
it's
learn.
educational.
You might as well learn from Ed if you're going to learn something.
I know.
And if you're gonna hear potty mouth, you want to hear it from a face like
Exactly. Right?
It doesn't work if you and I say it.
I know, it's a whole different thing.
I think there's something to be said for leaving things alone. You know, I think to have something beautiful and beautifully flawed, which makes it so perfect, and to have it end. You know, and I know there's always let's go back and revisit and this and that and that. But that initial perfection, I just think like, leave it alone. It's beautiful. Enjoy it, remember it, and let that influence what you're going to do next, you know? And we were lucky enough to get the movie, which I thought was just fantastic. But I was so happy that it never expanded beyond that, because it was a perfect ending. It was. It wasn't the ending that everybody wanted, but it was perfect for me. It was just, for me, it was perfect.
But
So,
Watanabe-san, if you're listening, we're all available.
I just want to say I agree with everything you said, but another season would have been great. Just maybe even 13 more. You know, just something, you know, more Bebop. I want more Bebop.
I know,
Okay.
Bo.
Yes.
I know.
I'm back to being me again.
First off, welcome to Renton. Renton loves you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renton.
And it's a question for Melissa. I read an interview with Watanabe that Radical Edward's personality was based on the genius Yoko Kanno. Were you given that note at all when you did your voice work?
No, we didn't
You
talk
had
about
no
that.
contact.
No, we didn't. We had no idea. We just kind of played and created. And I watched her. I watched the physicality. I took everything from her physicality because when you do anime, when you're recording anime, you have the luxury of seeing the actual animation, and then you lend your voice to it. So, and there's something beautiful to be said on the flip side of original animation, that you are the creation and they are animating to your voice. So, but I happen to be I have a dance background and I danced all my life. So I'm a very physical person in the booth. I can't just stay still. I have to use my arms. And so I was able to just watch her and capture it. And there was such a playfulness and an effervescence, and it spoke to a part of me that is inside of me. I think Kevin knew something, beyond, and it was just I think it was just one of those kismet, perfect marriages that the stars aligned and Edward and I kind of melded. And like Bo was saying before, that I always consider Mary. I say Mary is an actor's director, because you are an actor's actor as well. And you are someone who understands, and you can get inside of it with your actor that you're directing. So it really was a beautiful marriage and a beautiful combination of all the stars coming together. So I did not know that until years later, when you could read interviews online.
Yeah, but also I encourage you, knowing your musical background, knowing Melissa's musical background, I encouraged as much musicality in the voice as possible, and it gave Ed such dynamic range.
It
It fleshed her out so beautifully, because then there would be these beautiful dry moments as well. So we ran the gamut of expression with Edward, and she was just, and again, play. I'm a firm believer, if you feel like you're playing, you're in a safe space. And the booth is like Vegas. What happens in the booth stays in the booth. It's a very safe space, and that's my most important thing for me to make actors feel like they can play, they can fail, they can screw up, we can laugh about it, and nobody's gonna know about it, and it gives you freedom to explore new things, new dimensions, new things, it's all Star Trek.
No, it's very true. And Mary did, she encouraged me, you're a singer, use it. So there's a lot of sing-songy aspects, as you know, of Edward, and we had a great time. It was a joint.
Yeah.
It was a collaboration.
We had so much fun.
We
And
did.
all of that said, if you haven't seen Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts, look her up and
Oh my
watch
gosh.
her in concert, because she directs, she plays a million instruments.
Oh, I have
She
to
is
see.
the most animated human I've ever seen on stage. Talk about a bobble body.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
yeah.
it's so great to watch that after the fact, because I can see where that influence
I've
came
never
from.
done
She
that.
just loves life and just lives it out loud. It's amazing.
So I personally, as an animator, just loved Cowboy Bebop, had a huge impact on me, and also your vocal performances, understated when it needed to be, silly when it needed to be, just absolute perfection. And I just want to thank you all for being here at Renton City Retro, and we are done with the panel.
Yay, Renton! Thank you. We love you. We love you.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
One shameless plug.
Oh, okay.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
If you're interested in learning about voiceover, go to BlueFoxStudios.com.
Yay.
Yay!
And also, we're gonna head back to the hall and we're gonna be there till 4, so if you have some questions that didn't get answered, if you just wanna come over and talk about like Lost, whatever, we'll be there until 4, so please come by and say hello, and so also we can say thank you for having us, so
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take a picture. Is there a selfie? Do you want someone down here to take it of us?
Oh, can you
Of us?
to the audience?
Jude, will you take a picture too?
Oh, you take the audience selfie.
Oh, with everyone turned
Oh, yeah.
around.
I don't know that there's enough room.
Everyone's got a.
What if we went down and stood? Oh, careful.
They're gonna move it. They got control. What do you think?
They should probably sit down.
Maybe sitting down.
Yeah.